Welcome back to another episode of NFT Catcher Podcast. We'd like to remind everybody that nothing on the show is meant as financial advice, and to please do your own research. Thank you, and enjoy the show.
Now the subject is NFTs.
They're known as non-fungible tokens, or NFTs.
NFTs are exploding in popularity.
This is a technology that will forever change the way people interact.
So it is happening whether you understand it and like it or not.
This phenomenon is moving. The digital.
You have now joined Jenny from the blockchain and Michael Keene on the NFT Catcher Podcast.
What's up, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the NFT Catcher Podcast with me, Jenny from the blockchain, and my co-host, Michael Keene. Today, we have a very special guest. We have Nate Alex with us today. Welcome to the show, Nate Alex.
Hi, yeah, thanks for having me on.
Is your first name Nate and your middle name is Alex?
Yeah, that's
okay.
Crack the code.
Crack the code, yes. You're great. Just had to confirm that there. Michael, how's your weekend? How's your week?
It's been going well, traveling around a lot. As you guys know, I'm actually in Ithaca, New York right now at my mother-in-law's place with 4 little crazy kids and our dog and lots of bugs.
Lots of bugs.
Yeah, lots of bugs. I got bit by a spider.
Oh, no.
Yeah, now I got these 2 fang marks on my finger. It got me.
Oh, my gosh.
I know. At least it wasn't poisonous. But yeah, that's my week. It's my week. How about you?
My week has been good. Yeah, I've been good. After New York, I went and visited family. They live on a farm, and it was just very farm life, no social media, and then came back here. My birthday just happened on Friday, I guess.
Yeah, that was fun.
Went to Seattle and so now I'm back home. But yeah.
Yeah, it's been a little too long. We've been off our normal schedule. Sorry, Nate. I know we're cutting you off a little bit. We'll get to whatever you got going on
No problem.
Just kidding. But,
yes. So Nate, Alex, welcome in. You're basically, if for those of you who don't know who Nate Alex is, which I feel like if you're in NFTs, you definitely should, or at least you probably know him or have heard of him, because he's one of the ultimate OGs in my book. And, you've been around since the early CryptoKitty days, early Top Shot days, early Cheese Wizard days, right? So yeah, I'm kind of curious to hear how you got started in Web3. Was it through crypto, and how did your Web3 journey begin? And when did you transition to doing Web3 full time?
So yeah, I started the first time that I ever bought any crypto was in the fall of 2017. It was probably similar to how people started hearing about NFTs last year. You just hear about it month after month. The media was writing about at the time was writing about Bitcoin, and it was hard to ignore just the price going up. And without knowing anything, I just oh, fuck it, I'm gonna throw some money in and try to make a little extra and just see what happens. And then it took a few months because I just was fascinated by the concepts, even though a lot of them there were a lot of bullshit narratives from the ICOCs and stuff. But after doing a lot of research, I had found NFTs at the end of 2017. And that was when it really kind of clicked for me, where it felt like it was something more than just bullshit, Ponzi hot potato game. Even though NFTs have sometimes transformed into that as well. That was where it really clicked for me with the CryptoKitties community, talking to the people there, especially, throughout 2018, where everybody was just losing money perpetually. So if you wanted to kind of remain through that, you had to be there for, a different reason, I guess.
Yeah, because there was a lot of people that got into CryptoKitties initially, right? At least a solid chunk. And then as time progressed, people just fell off. At 2018, 2019, not much happening with NFTs. So what were you doing during that time? The initial frenzy of CryptoKitties was kind of dying. There wasn't all these ETH projects coming out every single day yet.
Yeah, so pretty much in 2017, I caught kind of the end of the CryptoKitties, the big hype cycle, which didn't last very long for them, where they were like founder cats were selling for like $100,000. And that was like what really caught my eye in the NFT space. It's like, holy shit, like this is more than my yearly salary that people are selling these pictures of like cartoon cats. Like this makes no sense at all. But so for me, I mean, I wasn't playing at that scale. I was flipping cats for $1 or $2 and like just trying to understand what would make somebody pay more for something. And it was really just a purely like financial game for me at that point. In 2018 is when I made a lot of friends that a lot of people would know today, Pranked or Jimmy or Carlini. There's a number of people that we were all like just talking pretty much daily about NFTs. And it was kind of like a cope group where we would like keep each other kind of like in the game and like keep ourselves from giving up kind of. And that pretty much, it felt like that for the better part of 2 or 3 years. I think it was probably 2020 before it felt like any real outside interest started kind of bleeding in. That's when I really think I started noticing a lot of new faces in the space.
Why didn't you give up and leave? Like, why did you feel like, continuing on?
Oh, that's a good question. I mean, maybe just being stubborn or maybe just the relationships I had built with these people. It was kind of I was spending a lot of time online and on Discord talking to these people, and they became my friends. And, I guess in a sense, I mean, it wasn't even, we talked about NFTs and crypto a lot, what the prices were doing and all stuff. But I mean, after a year of that, you get to know people, you talk about other things, and then, building those friendships, it just was like, it became like a friend group. So, I mean, that kept me at least engaged in the space. I mean, we were all around whenever like Autoglyphs dropped. I remember one of our friends was like, hey, the guys that created CryptoPunks have just created this cool thing, Autoglyphs, and they're probably going to be big because people like CryptoPunks. And we're like, okay. And then we like bought a whole shitload of them. And it was just.
I actually listened. Yeah, you bring up Autoglyphs. It's funny. I listened to you. I think you have a pinned tweet of a podcast you did. It was like an hour and a half long about a year ago.
Oh, yeah.
When you were originally going to come on, I listened to that whole thing, and it really stuck that you talked about Autoglyphs then, and that was back in like June of last year. And you were talking about how they were like $100,000, and now I looked and the floor is like 200 ETH. Like, yeah. So you minted a whole bunch of those. You went nuts on those when they first dropped.
Yeah, I bought about 30, which was, I think, maybe Pranked bought more than I did, or Pranksy bought more than I did. And I think maybe Kryptonic. But I was one of the larger mentors. I just, at the time, I spent maybe about $1,000 minting them. And which was a significant amount of money to me at the time. Really, it was maybe 20 or 30% of what I had in the crypto space. And I remember telling like my coworkers about it, and they were like, they just thought it was so fucking stupid. So that same week when I started flipping some of them, they were approximately $25 or $30 a piece after gas. And I was selling them for $150 that same week. And it felt like good to like kind of be like, oh, guess who? I just made $1,000 today. But I mean, I think that I had to play the game a little different than some people. Like, let's say like Jimmy, he could take like the longer term approach and really sit on him and really believe in him. And he came out the back with 10 Autoglyphs by the time they had blown up, and I had 0 at this time. So it's just different ways to play the game. But yeah, I always think. I think back to that. This is a pretty memorable thing for me, where it was like, just being present in the space allowed us that opportunity. Because I mean, there are probably less than 100 active people daily at that point.
Wow.
Yeah, being present, that's the thing too. And I thought that was interesting when you were talking about how, it was kind of that little NFT bear market of, 2018, 2019. Nothing was really happening, but you guys were just there, you were present. And then, all of a sudden opportunities start coming your way, even though it didn't seem like, things were going to be going well at the time. Things start happening. And I also think about now, like now a lot of people would say, oh, we're in a bear market right now. I'm sure a lot of people have left, but there's still people here sticking around. And, when you were saying the reason why you stayed was because of these connections that you formed, and you just kind of developed a sense of community, and that kind of tied you in and kept you in the space. I feel like a lot of people can relate to that for sure. Like right now, a lot of people are like, they're here for the connections, and maybe they make money, maybe they don't. Not sure what's happening next with NFTs, but a lot of people say, oh, it's about the friendships you make along the way, right? So
yeah, I mean that leads to some better opportunities, I think, just being able to survive, because it is, when the opportunity is the best, it's when it will feel the worst. Like that's when people will be the most bored, and as a whole will want to give up the most. I mean, I think that even for some of us who've been through those like valleys before, I think it's going to be even hard for us. I mean, like I don't see myself giving up. Like it would have to get really fucking bad for that to happen. But I think that there will be a time where I'm like, oh man, I'm just mentally exhausted from this. It's just tiresome. Because even I think that some people think that it's just gonna bottom out, and then to a month later it's back to old all-time high or some shit. Like that's not gonna happen. Like it is gonna take a long time for people to sort of rediscover it. Some new technologies to be invented, and some new like narratives that can be big the next time interest returns. I mean, I just don't think that it'll be, let's just say if it's 2 years from now that NFTs kind of become mainstream again, I don't expect the meta to be the same. Like it's just 10K PFPs all over again, hot potato. I would be shocked if that's what we're doing again in 2 years.
Yeah, it's a good point. Good point for sure. It could be a while. I mean, we're here for it, and it's good to hear your story and the perspective. And I've read a lot of people talk about that last cycle, how you kind of had to stick through it and you be there and you come out on top if you have. But it could be a while. You're right. Like the technology we know is going to do amazing things, but what is it really going to do? And
yeah, I mean, the incentives aren't great. Like when things are just going insane, like they have. Well, I mean, maybe not this past several months, but the majority of 2021, there wasn't a lot of incentive to be like, you know what, I'm going to take a year-long approach to build this really cool thing. It was more like, oh my God, I need to ship something now while people are throwing $3 million at whatever garbage you can come out with. So, I mean, that happened over and over and over again, and being lean and being fast was a lot more valuable in terms of earning than building something that was kind of unique and could actually capture some longer term attention.
What would you say like excites you about NFTs besides like the financial aspect? Because I feel like a lot of people kind of focus on that, but like what drew you into NFTs? Like why are you still around, besides, it's really lucrative, like besides that?
I mean, I think that it's just is sort of like an inevitable thing that's going to happen where all digital assets are NFTs. They're all tradable. I don't know what it looks like. I mean, I've seen some crazy theories. I think Gary Vee had talked something about like your plane ticket could be an NFT that's tradable. It's stuff like that. But I mean, I think that the scope is just so much bigger than what we've seen, and it's inevitable. Like it will be unavoidable in 5 years or 10 years or whatever. It's to me, it's a bit like being an early adopter of the internet. I know that's like a common analogy, but like if you waited 10 years to start using the internet and then you wanted to have a career in any internet-based thing, you're so far behind people that have been using it for 10 years. So the same thing here, just using it at all, just being able to use MetaMask and being able to interact on Ethereum blockchain 5 years from now is going to be tremendously valuable for people who know that. And I guess you said not just value focused, but I mean also in terms of just life usability. Like you're going to be expected to know this shit, just like people are expected to know how to use the internet now to do things. The only way to kind of keep up is just be a part of it and just kind of stick with it.
Yeah, I got to keep up with the new technology. That's the thing. I think it is a little bit harder for people that are a little more stubborn. Like my dad, he was like, he didn't want to be on the internet, right? When it first started coming out. Still to this day. But now he's looking for a new apartment and he's realizing everything is online. And he's like, everything is online. Like, I'm not used to this. I was used to just walking into apartments before. And it's like, well, now you got to apply online. You got to submit, all these things. And so it's like, if you don't keep up with the times, you're going to get left behind, and that's not ideal.
Yes.
But yeah, I am so curious to see what, what things are going to look like with, blockchain technology and I don't know, a couple of years from now, or even 5 years, 10 years.
Yeah, I just think that there's going to be, it will feel like that if you don't keep up with this in 5 or 10 years, whenever you need to have something NFT related for your life and you haven't paid attention to NFTs for 10 years, you're going to feel like your dad felt looking for an apartment online because he didn't know what the fuck he was doing. Like that is just going to play out. I think that is just kind of inevitable. So whether, without regard to like the financial side of things, it just is going to be like you will need to know how to use it to navigate life, probably.
Yeah. On that point, I've said a couple of times, I feel like the next wave is going to be like the original wave. The last one, 2021, was, hey, I heard NFTs are great. I want to get into NFTs. Which ones should I buy? The next time it's probably going to be like, I need that. Like I see an advertisement. I need whatever that is. Oh, I have to get an NFT. How do I do that? Like that's to bring the masses back in. I'm also a little worried about the next little pump. Like everybody's going to be taking profits so quick next time because they were just ran through this. So like,
or they say they will.
Right.
Oh, guys,
it's going to be hard to get you.
I'm going to take these profits. And then next time comes around, you're like, I'm
up forever. Yeah.
Well,
I expect that there will be profit takers faster than what people think. I mean, it's you see it like Bored Apes being, they have a strong operational team. They've done a great job, like keeping people engaged perpetually, but also timing plays in hugely with them. The sort of collector base that they started with were people who were like, fuck it, we're going to hold to 1 million or zero.
Yeah.
And they, versus now, like even projects that have a tremendous amount of interest and hype, they just can't get there because people, they now are like, oh shit, like I need to undercut before somebody else undercuts. The price competition is a lot harder. Like, I mean, CryptoKitties saw that this year or last year, I guess, a lot harder than say like CryptoPunks, because there were a lot more people that had been trading regularly that had owned CryptoKitties versus CryptoPunks. You had a bunch of people who were like, we'll hold till $1 million. So that different psychology will come into play. I think the next cycle, there will be a lot of people who understand or who play the short term, like fast nickel versus like the long dime, which is, that's me with Autoglyphs versus say Jim with Autoglyphs.
Now I'm a Bored Ape, and you're right. Like, so my psychology, I was like, I'm just, $1 million is probably going to get there. It got up to like $500,000 almost. It was probably pretty much there. And now it's down to whatever it is, like, 110,000. And so the next time it goes up, am I going to sell if it gets to $500,000? Like it's a lot of money. And I kind of, I love the ape I have, but I wouldn't have minded selling and buying 2 more and getting one real nice one and another, like a floor one, whatever it is. So like, I feel like people probably, like some people like me, I don't know if I will or not, but will take them a little quicker. And hopefully there's enough of other people, to keep it going up. But it's
more demand, more buyers.
Yeah, right. What do you think of that ecosystem? You think they're going to be able to pull it off with they're obviously going to do a game, whatever it is, but do you think that's going to make that ape go back? Like,
No, I'm not sure. I mean, I think games are really challenging. I think the fact that they have a token be a part of their ecosystem that's so critical. I mean, it's a tough thing to build that people have tried for a long time. You introduce the token, you become sort of everything you design has to have that in consideration. I mean, I have a few kind of thoughts on it. I'm curious, like one of the biggest question marks I have right now regarding them is with Other Side Land. They've got 100,000 other lands that they intend on selling.
Yep.
How do they sell them? I guess is like, it sounds like a dumb question, but do they undercut the current market? Because that's the only way that people would buy them. Do they airdrop them 1-to-1 and then take no revenue? I'm just not really sure.
That's actually a really good point, because it's not a new collection. It's going to be part of that same collection. Like, if you price them above the floor, people aren't going to buy them.
Yeah, they would just buy the floor.
Right. Are there even codas in the next one? Because that was what people were chasing on the last one as well, if you remember.
Yeah.
I think the 10,000 codas are out there. And also, if I remember, I think they hinted something like that people that had land were going to get the next batch. Do you remember seeing that part of it? I don't think they've been clear about it. Go ahead.
It wasn't clear, but yeah, I remember. I think that was a rumor that came out, and then that, from their perspective, isn't great because they're not making any revenue. But maybe they don't. Maybe they don't need it, and then that way, at least the market can make sense. But yeah. I mean, like, how do you sell 100,000 NFTs?
Right.
If the floor is 3 Ether.
Right. The floor will go down to 1 ETH if you try and sell them that way. I mean, it'd be really tough unless there's something else with it to drive that hype. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah. I mean, I think I'm not saying that they won't figure it out, but it just has like some question marks around that. So we'll see how they do it. They've done very well with everything, with pretty much all their moves so far. So, maybe they'll surprise me and I'm not being creative enough, but yeah, that's sort of my kind of thinking on it. I think, I do think it's inevitable that more and more people move to spending almost all their time online. I mean, it's happening in a big way now. Like, I talk to my internet friends more than I talk to my, local friends. I spend 8 hours a day on the internet, or 10 hours sometimes, 12 or whatever. So that migration is already happening, and it's just going to continue to happen more and more. And the virtual experience will get better and better. So I think the trend is right. I just, I'm curious to see how it'll play out.
Yeah.
What's your favorite NFT project?
My favorite NFT project?
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Or maybe NFTs in general. Maybe you want to say something that's not a project, but.
Oh, my favorite.
Maybe some artists even, but yeah, whatever.
Art, maybe.
Yeah.
So I mean, there's a few projects. It's rare that like a project like really like leaves a huge impact on me where I just am like in awe of it. I mean, Autoglyphs is one of those that did that for me, that still sticks out to me as being kind of the top tier NFT. I think that it, I mean, maybe
why Autoglyphs?
I just think it just is an awesome project. Like it, the on-chain art movement, I think, was something that Jim and I like really put in front of a lot of people after, they did it. And I launched an on-chain project in 2020, I guess. But
Chain
so, I mean, Squiggly. Yeah, I mean, it was more of a pure just art, like generative project. And then, art blocks followed after that, which I loved art blocks as a concept. I think that's a really great platform and use case for NFT technology. I think that I mean, I love them. I love Cyber Brokers. I think Josie is like, she just fucking killed it on that. I just think I'd never buy any of them. This just sucks about it. It's like, I think I've talked about them like a couple times on like Spaces or whatever. And then like people will buy them and I'm like, oh, damn it. Like I need to buy them before I say anything about it. But I've always just loved the aesthetic of that project. I know how hard it is technically to put all that stuff on chain. So I'm just massively impressed by just the technical achievement, and also think it just is a good looking project. Like as far as like individual NFTs, I like one of the ones that I bought that the Washington Post kind of poked some fun at, which I paid like 600,000 for it, and it was a CryptoKitty, and like nobody really knows about it. But
was it the Fabric Kitty?
What? Yeah.
Kitty one? Oh my God! Wait, why did you buy that? Yeah, you spent like, wait, how much did you spend on it?
600,000.
Seems fair. Seems legit.
I mean, yeah. Actually, I had $1 million offer on it within like a week. Somebody reached out, and then I didn't answer, and then he said like maybe 2, and like, and I don't know if that was just kind of off the cuff, like, oh, what about that? But I think that when I think about like a piece that could be in a museum, I think that like CCD makes a lot of sense, having like the physical aspect being possibly the first physical / NFT crossover NFT. I mean, I know that it's so like niche, like hardly anybody knows about it. And CryptoKitties are probably 3rd or 4th in terms of even NFT cat projects now. But like the history is just so relevant there. I think, somebody like Roam, when he's worth $100 billion, he circles back and he buys it for 200 million. And we'll see.
So you're hoping to sell your CryptoKitty, your special one, to Roham?
It doesn't really matter who it is. I mean, it could be him. It could be, Poopy when he's worth 10 billion.
Come on, Poopy, buy it.
15 million. We'll see. Like that's you only need one elite tier buyer who really gets the history, and that's it.
Fair. Yeah, not everyone's gonna drop $1 million on an NFT, but a couple people will. Yeah. Speaking of Poopy, you have your rainbow cat, your Doodle rainbow cat, which is your profile picture, and you've had that for a while. Like you've really held on to that. What do you like? What do you like about?
So I mean, I love Jordan. I think that he's has just such a great long-term vision. I love the Doodles. I think that they really have taken a totally different approach, or they have a totally different approach than most other NFT businesses, which go, what's Yuga Labs doing? We'll just do that.
Mm-hmm.
And then whereas the Doodles are like, no, we're not doing that. We're not doing that. We're not doing any of this. So I like that approach. I think that, not saying that it's definitely going to be the biggest winner, but I think to be the biggest winner, you have to sort of carve your own path, which they've done and they want to do. With the rainbow cat, sometimes I think to myself, when I bought it, it was like a trade, right? Like it was undervalued relative to the other one-of-ones, by a lot. So that's why I bought it. And then I'm like, damn it, I should have made one of my floor Doodles my profile picture, and then I would be able to, because now I feel like, how do you trade what people recognize you as? It is tough. I know people.
It's your identity right now. Yeah,
I
and
know.
then it's you sell it, and then you see it on someone else's Twitter. No.
Yeah. Oh, I know. It was gonna be so confusing. I know. So there were some big offers floated around on rainbow one-of-one Doodles, like the alien and the cat, the ape. I mean, low seven figures, but when that was happening,
I love low seven figures.
So let's just say 1 million instead of not 3 million or 4 million, 1 million, but still it's just a lot of money. But I don't know. I think that it's going to be hard for me to ever really part from it, or even remove my identity from it at this point. It just
holding on to things. You're more of a holder versus okay, this is $1 million. I could have $1 million. I could be living it up. I could have a mansion. You're like, no, let me keep this profile picture here.
I mean, I guess it depends on your financial situation. If it was my only valuable asset, then that would be one thing, I guess. I did sell my alien Doodle to Steve Aoki for 800,000 or something. So I mean, there's, but with Doodles, since I've been sort of a public advocate for them, I feel that it would be dirty to build this brand up, talk about how awesome I think it is, and then just sell all my shit. So I haven't sold even the ones that I minted for 0.12 or whatever.
Wow.
I just never sold any of those either. And that's not really my normal approach. I mean, I have typically been more of a trader. Let's say with Top Shot, I got cleaned out whenever the Cosmics really pumped, because I had everything listed basically at the floors for all of the Cosmics, and then whenever it just blew up, I just got left in the dust.
That's funny. Wait, what's your Top Shot account?
I think it's just Nate Alex. It's mostly crappy shit now. I mean, I bought 2 LeBron James Cosmics in January, one for 15,000 and one for 40,000, I think.
Nice.
And then I had pulled one out of a pack. So I had 3 of those whenever Top Shot was kind of getting going. And I think I sold those for maybe 300,000 for all. It was roughly 100,000 average, I think, on each of them. So I mean, that was a pretty good markup, I guess. I mean, they're probably still worth more than 100,000 each, but that was really my big Top Shot win, was the LeBron James Cosmic stuff. Everything else I should have done a lot better on, but I got cleaned out early.
LeBron's the way to go over there. I've said that.
It is, right?
Yeah. LeBron's the way to go.
everybody
But after he
converges to the best.
retires and-
Oh man, yeah, I agree. I had tried to like convince myself to buy up a ton of the bases before Top Shot ever caught on, but I think that I just went too deep, and I wasn't 100% convinced that people would get it and that it would catch on. Like the beta, I think I spent like 80 ether or something in the beta, and there was just
80 ETH. Wow.
there wasn't like a lot of interest for probably 4 or 5 months, where it felt like, oh my God, we're gonna lose all our
You
money.
joined in June. So I see you joined June 2020. You joined during the private closed beta. So there's really only a couple hundred people. And then they opened it up in October, which is when I joined. And then it was like a couple thousand people. And I was probably your guys' exit liquidity. Like,
No, the October crowd had it good. Okay. I mean, you had it okay.
We had it good. It was prices were so super cheap. Like it was good.
The people that got screwed were like the March 2021.
February, March people.
That was where it really went over the top. Whenever like mainstream media is writing about it.
That's it.
It's Top Shot did a lot of good though. I think like they onboarded a lot of people into like the Ethereum ecosystem. I think that a lot of people that came into Top Shot bought Bored Apes. I want to say that like funnel.
Yeah, because Garga was really into Top Shot, and there was like, I know some of my friends, they were like, yeah, he came into our little like Top Shot Discord because there would be these spin-off like communities for Top Shot. And then he was just kind of like shilling his Bored Apes, I guess. But yeah, I remember, a lot of my Top Shot friends had gotten into Bored Apes. And I remember that. I was very stubborn about them though, because I thought they were pretty ugly. And I was like, there's no good looking ones.
Yeah, I whiffed on those. So Pranked and Jim, they were talking about them in a chat we were in. And I was like, guys, like they haven't sold out in a week, so that shows that there's not a lot of demand for them. And then all of a sudden, that changed overnight, and then they just blew the fuck up. Like, so I mean, I whiffed on that. I mean, I was there when they were getting like minted out. I just was kind of like you. I mean, I just didn't really see the longer term narrative there, which.
I mean, I think,
well, but
well, and also it's like, how can you really predict that? But I think you were right about the whole stubborn buyers of them just being like, I'm going to hold this forever. Like, I do remember people like just saying that, even though they didn't, it's like, did they really think it was going to be super valuable? Well, maybe not, but they just kind of had this like sense of community, like, let's just hold on to this. And nothing had really blown up super crazy at that point to where there was even like a reason to really think about something.
It's insane. Like even at the time, I mean, CryptoPunks, I think were probably the premier, like most highest value. But even at that time, they were probably 10 ether, or they weren't really that much.
You're right. They were selling for 20,000, 30,000, 40,000. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I mean, so that was, to me, that kind of was the cap of what a 10K PFP could be. I remember in 2020, I think it was 2020, I was talking to people in the chat about punks and and I was just mega bull. Like there's 100% chance these would be worth more than $1,000 a piece. I promise these can be worth more than $1,000 a piece about CryptoPunks, because they were like $200. And people were like, why don't you just buy them all then? I'm like, I mean, because I can't afford it. But like
people always say that. People love to say, why don't you just buy them all?
I mean, I would, but like, yeah, I mean, I have bought as many as I can afford to. But like, I was so confident they would hit $1,000. And then when they did, it was like, okay, the numbers are getting a little bigger here. You got $10 million market cap. And then whenever they hit like $100,000, I was thinking there is no way. Like, I just don't understand how. I mean, I just underestimated how much money is floating around, I guess, in this space. So it was weird to see, or it was shocking to see like Bored Apes just explode like that.
Yep.
Oh, I was just gonna say, did you buy a bunch of CryptoPunks and sell them early? Because I feel like that's like your thing. You sell them.
It is
you buy
classic.
Early, you sell them early.
Yeah, I gave away 2 CryptoPunks during the original Chain Faces mint.
Nice.
Which was funny. One of them, there was a giveaway. I can't remember exactly how it worked. Pranked ended up winning one of the giveaways, and then the other person that won it's like held there still, like all the way up and down. It's crazy.
Wow.
But
Nice.
so yeah, I was pretty early with CryptoPunks buying them. I remember when they were like $20. I don't think that I ever really bought any at that level, but I was buying probably in like the $100 range, but I was selling for $150 or $200. But I did stay pretty active with CryptoPunks. I think like one of the last ones I bought, or I bought a pilot for like 180 because the person was like capitulating. It was like super obvious. Like they listed like 300.
Wait, was it the nouns guy?
No, it wasn't him. It was
okay.
somebody else. But yeah, they just went 300, 280, 260, and I'm like,
Oh,
this
shoot.
person will sell for anything. So I just offer 180. He accepted, which was like 300 ETH or lower than the next cheapest. So I just marked it up by like 90 ETH, and then somebody picked it up a few days after that.
Hey.
But so I mean, I did stay active, like trading punks for a while when they still had decent liquidity. But yeah, I didn't, if I just held like the shit that I started with, then it would have been so much better. It just is so hard to pick those winners, hold them, capture the upside. It's just such a hard game to play.
Yep. Yeah, I hear that. Did Jennifer say you had something to do with the bucket auction for the Doodles?
Yeah, I did I was like the mechanism designer for it.
Cool.
And then we audited the contract. The basic idea, I mean, was like, how do we, because I always have hated this just like gas waste. I just think it sucks because it's like, why? It doesn't have to exist. You can design something that, and people, they challenge that even when like other side came out, and I talked about $180 million got wasted on gas there. And with like the Doodles bucket auction, I was like, well, if we do, something like this where it's sort of like there's a 24-hour window, you don't have to hit gas competition. You might if you try to submit first or wait till the last few blocks, but anywhere in the middle is just paying the market price. That was like kind of the intent behind it, is like, let's just design this thing that the price is the same for everybody. The gas will be low, very low across a 24-hour window. So I mean, yeah, and we talked about it, and I had like a basic design for it. West Coast NFT ended up building it, and then like I said, Kane and I audited it.
Cool. Yeah, it was really interesting. We talked about it on our last episode right before it was going down.
Yeah.
How did you feel how it executed, and do people get it? Like it worked really well?
I think that it worked the way that we wanted it to work. I was pretty happy with the outcome. I know that there are probably some people they're just used to mints creating sort of this like pseudo scarcity, like FOMO, because, oh no, I got left out. My gas didn't get through. Now I need to buy on secondary, versus the bucket auction, which is kind of like you're buying at the fair market price. You're taking a longer term position here. Like the odds of being able to take away something from an auction like that and flip it for a 2x on day one are pretty much zero. I mean, you're paying fair auction price that everybody could have paid if they just were there within the last day. So there are probably some people that were disappointed by how that kind of played out, with maybe because they didn't understand how like the market dynamics behind it. But other than that, I mean, yeah, the design did what I had hoped it would do.
I definitely got priced out of it. I was watching it though. I was like, what is this going to get to? Because it's interesting, because it's like, if you were to put in 1 ETH, but then you think, oh, maybe it'll be, 0.2, then you're thinking, oh, I got 5. But then if it's like, it keeps going up, you're like, oh shit, I'm only going to get 2. Like, I also feel like those people probably were like, maybe they put in 0.5, they thought they'd get a couple and they really just got 1.
Yeah.
So like probably those people were like, dang.
Oh, you're right. There probably are some. I mean, on the plus side, the price is still the same for everybody. So, if that was, so to me, it still is a fair mechanism. But yeah, I could see like somebody puts in a big amount and it says they have 1,000, and then they just see that dwindle down into nothingness.
Like,
fuck. Yeah. Yeah, so I mean that could be a little frustrating, but that's also part of the learning curve. I think, the next time you see a bucket auction on a high profile like NFT, people will know how it works and they'll understand. Oh, okay, well, this is the most that I could ever hope to get, and then it's kind of down from there. But again, at least the price is equal for everybody. I think it's crazy that people buy things and will sell them for a loss 30 minutes later. Like that is just insane to me.
Blows
Like,
my mind too.
wow.
I don't know why.
It happens all the time. Yeah, people are scared. Some people are probably chasing something, and I don't know if it revealed right away or whatever. But like, I guess sometimes if you don't get something rare, you just dump it out.
Yeah.
I was in the ticket business for a long time, and we saw that tickets would go on sale to a concert, they would sell out, and then right away the price would be under what people paid for it.
Oh, really? Wow, that's crazy.
It's a weird dynamic. The one thing, so with the bucket auction, you got the human part of it. You guys actually chose a price, right? Like did it say like, so once the auction was over, we're going to take a guess at what the price is, and then it's either going to go up or down from there?
No, it's algorithmically calculated based on, so the simplest way to think about it, although this is a simplified, but this isn't how it actually works, but basically you take all the ether that's in the pool, and then however much ether a person has put in, they get a proportional amount of boxes per that. So like this is a simple example. It doesn't exactly work like this because refunds are factored in, and there's this idea of like a threshold that you have to be over, and anything under that gets refunded. But generally speaking, let's say there was 10 ether in the contract, somebody put 9 in, some people put 1 in, and there were 10 or 20 boxes. That means there's 10 ether, there's 20 boxes. The average price for box would be 0.5. So it's calculated based on how much ether is in the pool. And because of the threshold line knocking people off, there's this iterative algorithm that just runs to figure out what that price is. And then we set that at the contract level, but it was calculated. That's where everything on the front end came from.
Cool. Yeah, it was. I had to read the FAQs a few times to kind of get it. It was cool. It's very interesting. I bet there's going to be people that try similar stuff, when something works like that.
I think that there's some modifications that could be made to it that makes sense if like, actually I won't spoil them because I'm playing around with something related to it, but I think that there are some modifications that can gamify it a little bit more, make it a little more fun or a little more unpredictable. But maybe we'll see those.
Will be interesting to see. We'll be interested to see what you have up your sleeve. You're definitely an innovative guy, and it's cool how that went down.
Thanks.
Yeah. And also, I have a chain face. Very proudly own a chain face. Not the chain face arena. Okay, I own the original. The OG
the original
one.
Okay, I mean shit.
Wow.
See, one thing that I regret about the arena is that I didn't just pay somebody a little bit of money to redesign characters, because that became like such a source of confusion between like, wait, there's the original ones, and then there's the ones that could fight in the arena for the millions of dollars bounty. So yeah, I do regret like reintroducing the brand. I mean, I looked through like probably like 30,000 symbols to pull the ones for Chain Faces Arena. And then the arena was really more about like the idle game being built in the contract, the, continuous payout system, the dynamic art upgrading, all being like built fully at the contract level and being 100% on chain. Like that was what was neat about it to me. But I think that experiment could have been better too. It's always like you do something and you're like, I wish I had tweaked like this or that, or like just minor little things. But that is also what gives inspiration, I guess, to build the next new thing. So,
okay. Any last questions, Michael, before we?
Yeah, usually my last question is, who are your favorite artists and projects? And we kind of went over that a little bit. But if you wanted to shout anybody out, you could. Other than that, it was a real pleasure chatting it up, and good to have you on.
Yeah, thanks for having me on. I'll stick with just the projects I went with earlier. I mean, there's a number of artists I could shout out. I would feel bad though, because I know I'd leave a good friend out, and that'd be shit.
Okay, my last question is, what's next for Nate Alex? Like, what's something in the future that you can tell us about that's happening?
So Chain Faces HD, I think, will come out, which is just a free claim for anybody that participated in Chain Faces Arena. It's basically like the ASCII characters get upgraded into an SVG character, and it kind of maps over in a logical way. So it's like the thing that looks like a mustache might map over to a mustache on the character. So that will be out this month for sure. I guess technically you can mint them now. The reveal will be done this month. We're building another project, which is kind of like a crowdsourced one-of-one art project meshed with an NFT project. So think of a profile picture project, but all of the pieces are drawn by an individual artist. They're all one-of-ones, and they're still like cohesive based on like the metadata and the stats at the token level. So that's something that we're trying to build right now.
Does that have a name?
Yeah, it's called Adjective Animals.
Adjective animals.
Adjective animals.
Just like right, because every project was an adjective and an animal.
Yeah. Okay. So it's tongue in cheek in that way, and
I like that.
It's a tough project to pull off because like getting like say versus 200 assets that you generate a bunch of 10,000 assets with.
Yeah.
It only takes 200 assets. It's a lot easier and cheaper than designing thousands of one-of-ones and then trying to incentivize the people that are involved with the project to even like participate in that. So we'll see how that goes. My goal is to get $1 million in the bounty pool that will incentivize artists to kind of upgrade the individual tokens. But more information will be coming on that probably this month or early next month. I mean, we're moving forward on that pretty well. But that's the main thing.
Adjective animals. That's some alpha right there, folks. That's some alpha. Get ready.
Yes,
I like it.
Please follow Nate Alex NFT on Twitter for more information. And also shout out to Cousin Greg. We have to shout out Cousin Greg for making this possible.
Yeah, for
sure. But thank you so much, Nate, for coming on. I've seen you at so many different NFT events, mostly doodle parties. And yeah, I've just been wanting you to come on for a while. And I said before that, like, you're one of my dream guests. Definitely look up to you in the space. And yeah, it's been an honor having you on the show. So thank you so much for your time.
Yeah, thanks a lot for having me on.
All right. Catch y'all in the next episode. Thanks for listening. Peace.
Thank you for tuning in to the NFT Catcher Podcast. We hope you enjoyed today's episode and learned something new about the exciting world of NFTs. If you enjoyed today's episode, please take a moment to subscribe to our podcast on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you listen to your podcasts. And if you really love what you're hearing, please leave us a rating and review on your favorite platform. If you want to stay up to date with the latest news and insights from the NFT space, be sure to follow us on all the socials at NFT Catcher Pod. You can follow Jennifer at Jennifer_pseudo and Michael at NFTicket. I'm your producer, Andy, and I'm at AJC254. Our theme song's by It's Just Los. We always appreciate your feedback and support, which helps us reach more people and bring you informative and engaging content about NFTs. We look forward to bringing you more great NFT content in future episodes. Thanks for listening. Peace.